Welcome to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. I'm Gyi from Attorney Sync, and I got to witness the Michigan Wolverines go down to Ohio State live in Ann Arbor, and I'm still reeling from it.
And I'm Conrad Som from Mockingbird, and likewise, I sat by myself watching this game, and I was kind of glad I was by myself. It was not good.
And we don't only talk about Michigan versus Ohio State here on Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. We also talk about, mostly we like to talk about marketing a law firm. But today, we are actually going to spend a lot of time talking about our good friends down south.
Our good friends down south? Come on. Come on.
See,
Listen, by the way, go. Try and be magnanimous.
You go.
So Gyi's trying to be magnanimous and nice and high-minded here. However, as a bit of foreshadowing, we're going to completely crap on the marketing and positioning for the Buckeye Law Firm as one of our first segments. So I think you got to keep the magnanimous on the shelf for this one.
I'm trying to keep it fun, personal, and loose, like the rundown says. But aside from the Buckeye Law Firm, Conrad, what else will we be talking about?
We are starting with one news item. Apparently nothing's going on. Well, we're recording this in December. This is scheduled to go live on Christmas Eve, which we may adjust somewhat if you're hearing it at a different time. So there's not a lot going on, including in the news. We have one news item. We are then going to do a teardown, a critical teardown of a firm in the state of Ohio. And then, and this is going to be awesome, we're going to talk about the importance, not just at intake, but of the honeymoon period during an engagement with a new client. And we're going to share some of our experiences as new clients of a service-based business. And we're going to end with things that we think you should be doing to make sure that you don't get divorced due to missteps during the honeymoon period.
First impressions make the world go round.
Money makes the world go round.
Welcome to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing, teaching you how to promote, market, and make fat stacks for your legal practice. Here on Legal Talk Network.
All right, everyone. After Money Makes the World Go Round, we always hit the news. All right, Gyi. In the news, not a lot going on in the news, except for coverage by Darren Shaw, who those of you who listened 2 episodes ago, I think, will remember Darren Shaw as the orchestrator of the Local Rankings Factor survey, and a recent guest on Lunch Hour Legal Marketing podcast. But he noted that Google is now allowing anonymous reviews. I thought that was kind of bananas. Any thoughts on your side on the anonymous reviews coming out of Google?
What could possibly go wrong, Conrad? I can't imagine that by allowing anonymous reviews, we could see an influx of fake reviews and blah, 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 but trying to be positive and constructive for lawyers that are in practice areas where reviews are difficult. I mean, I think all practice areas reviews are
criminal
difficult,
defense.
but particularly difficult. Yeah, because clients don't want to say, thanks for helping me get off my DUI charge. Thanks for helping me, whatever personal issue, legal situation you're dealing with. People don't want to write that online. Maybe that presents an opportunity for lawyers to be like, oh, now we're be able to actually collect more real reviews. But that is extremely naive and optimistic, in my opinion. I think much more likely this will be abused to the point where Google reverses course, but TBD.
Well, so the interesting thing, they are only, and I don't think this is a very big hurdle, but the talking point is that these are from verified accounts, and they use a pseudonym and a neutral false picture, right? So a picture of, I don't know, a tree. And so it's still an actual reviewer. It's still an actual person. Whether it's not an actual client is an entirely different conversation. But it gives you the opportunity.
Yeah, so talk to me, tell our listeners how you have a verified profile on Google.
Right. And I think
that be fake? That can't be faked. It's just like where you're sending in like social security numbers and
listen, I'm giving you the
license.
Google talking points on this.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm giving you Google talking points. That's why it's not a concern. So anyway, that is
great opportunity. Great
opportunity for all of you to get more reviews, because they do, in some instances, make the world go round. Okay, if you're watching us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, ask us a question, keep the conversation going, and check out. We're gonna do a teardown of a website in just a moment. We did another one recently. Does my website suck? So if you like this episode, go listen to Does My Website Suck? We'll put it in the show notes. And because Gyi and I are tremendously sore losers and still licking our collective maze wounds from
this is the sore loser episode for sure.
This is the sore loser. Like Gyi tries to be high-minded. We all know that I'm not, but you're going to see the sore loser coming out in both of your podcast hosts over the next 10 minutes. We've had this site on our radar for a little while. It is the BuckeyeAccidentAttorneys.com from the Buckeye Law Group. And the reason it's been sitting in our show notes for a while is because we've talked a lot about positioning and building affinity with an audience. And one of the ways you can I always use the don't kick puppies because everyone loves puppies. But one of the things that we've talked about is there's no reason not to lean into the local sports team, right? And local is really, really good. And so when I saw the Buckeye Accident Attorneys, I had to see just how much they leaned into their love of the team from Columbus. Okay, for those of you watching along at home on YouTube, you can see that their website has really missed the mark on that. Gyi, why does this firm completely miss the potential for leaning into the Ohio State football fan base that is rabid in the state of Ohio?
Well, again, like you said at the outset of the episode, we were like, this is kind of great. This is a firm that's leaning into this idea. Presumably they're big Ohio State fans. They're wrapping their firm identity around, being Buckeyes and all this kind of stuff, and awesome affinity. But when you come to the site, what do you see? One, except for the Buckeye in the Buckeye Law Group name and, in the logo, which is also just for people that can't see it, it's a Buckeye with the scales of justice behind it. Not the worst logo I've seen, but
I like it. Honestly, I'll take it.
It certainly does. Like, aside from the name, what else is Buckeye about this site? Can you tell anything?
Absolutely nothing. I mean, I'm looking at
so I got to tell you, Conrad, have you ever been to Columbus?
I think I would self-immolate if I...
Okay.
That's actually probably a lie. I have been all over Ohio because we have a bunch of clients there.
Right.
I'm assuming this is a Columbus skyline. This is
that was my question for you, because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I've not been
it's
to...
not. You know exactly where it is. I know what the skyline is.
What is the skyline?
This is Cleveland. And you want to know why I know that it's Cleveland?
Well, because the firm launched in Cleveland?
The firm is based in Cleveland.
Well, so if you scroll down a little bit, it does say the firm launched in Cleveland. Now,
I'll bet a stiff drink that this is the skyline of Cleveland. And if you are the Buckeye Law Group and you want to lean into that affinity, this should be a picture of the shoe. Period. Right?
Right.
Period.
Or Bucky or a million other Ohio State things. So I was going to give the benefit of the doubt. I don't know that this is Cleveland either, but I do know that one of the videos on the site that I'm not going to be able to play right now because I have to find it, is of a lawyer sitting on the Cleveland sign. And so, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if it was Cleveland. And of course, it does say that they launched in Cleveland. Now, for folks that have no idea about anything about Ohio State or the state of Ohio, or the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. Conrad, what is the likelihood that people in, say, like Cleveland and Toledo, for example, in particular, because I'll tell you from my personal experiences, is I actually have a good friend who actually lives in Toledo, and his buddies growing up, guess who they were all fans of?
A2, baby.
Because they're 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, another thing here, guess what? This firm, they have an office in Toledo. And again, benefit of the doubt, they started in Cleveland. And by the way, just for full disclosure here, we don't know this firm. We don't know anybody at this firm. We don't know anything about it except that we stumbled across the brand at some point. You found this, Conrad. Maybe they opened a satellite office in Toledo. But there's a firm that started in Cleveland, has gone all in on the Buckeye Law Group brand.
But they have,
and they've got offices in Toledo. And so I think the first observation with all of this is that if you're going to do this kind of affinity thing, you got to be cognizant of, I mean, are they going to open an A2 office up? I mean, maybe that would be new PR worthy, right? Maybe it'd be better than opening it in Toledo, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Conrad does not recommend opening Buckeye Accident Attorneys in Ann Arbor. No, but so this is a decided miss in that their objective is clearly to be the big firm in Ohio, and you can't do that when you're building affinity with a portion of that market. And like, if they wanted to be the big firm in Columbus, this is really obvious and it makes a ton of sense. Exactly. And they're not, right? So
and they didn't start in Columbus either, at least from what they said. So it's like a firm that launched in Cleveland, went all in on the Columbus thing. That's the part that's like,
but it's not even all in. That's the whole point. There's no footballness to this. There's no Ohio, it's just a logo and a URL. And that's
do the people of Ohio identify with Buckeye more generally? Is that something we're missing?
That's probably true. Like, I think that's fair. Like, here's a counterpoint, Gyi. You and I talk about this all the time. And so actually, we talk about this all the time. You do not need to appeal to everyone. You just need to appeal to a certain segment. What they're doing here is neither, because they're not leaning into the Buckeye piece. Like, if you really want to be the Buckeye law firm, go all in. Don't like it is about the Buckeye experience and your love of the Buckeyes, and it's about the sports and the school, and you highlight all of these things, and it's all over your site with as much as you can possibly get away with from a branding perspective, right? From a legal branding perspective. And that's what you do, and that's what you love, and you want to talk about Buckeye sports and blah, blah, blah. Build that affinity. And if you offend all the people in Toledo, except for the 10% of those people in Toledo who are Buckeye fans, fine. Win that, win the Buckeyes, win everyone who is mad about the Buckeyes. Now you have a differentiator. Doing this is completely sterile, ineffectual, and it's two things. It's a goodish logo and a URL. And so, like, you're just missing. You're not doing the hard work. You're not doing this is who we stand for, this is what we're into, this is what we love. So you don't build any affinity. And slapping a Buckeye logo on something that has an office in Toledo is not going to do enough to convince those Buckeye fans that we have affinity with you. Period.
But wait, there's more.
So when you want to crap on first?
Well, so, you know, when we started this, and again, sour grapes, sore losers, we were very focused on this whole Buckeye positioning brand affinity thing. But then we started digging a little deeper. And the first thing that jumped out, this should have been the thing that we should have been talking about from the start. But nonetheless, here we are. They have a 1-800-411-PAIN phone number as the primary call to action. Top of the navigation. That's where all the attention's going to 411-PAIN. Now, Conrad.
Yes.
You actually called 411-PAIN.
I was wondering where that went. Because, let me go back to branding, right? An 800 number does not communicate location. And I want this
Right.
to be all about location, or at least like tied into the whole Buckeye-ness of what they want to
Yeah,
be.
I was gonna say at least be a 1-800 Buckeyes.
Buckeyes, or
Buckeye
even if it's
Law.
not 800, like at least give me
Yeah.
a Ohio area code. Okay.
Ohio
So-
or Ohio area code with Buckeye Law brand or something.
Something along these lines. Okay. So that's what I'd like.
Something.
So I called 1-800-411-PAIN, and I ended up with a recorded message from the offices of Canner and Pintaluga. 411-PAIN. There you go. 411-PAIN. So, and it literally says, hi, you've reached Canner and Pintaluga. So even if we don't have a problem with the branding here, now I've got a different law firm, right? I've just done all of this work to get to the Buckeye law firm. And I call and I get a different law firm that I've never heard of before. And so Gyi and I went deep trying to figure out what the heck is going on here. We had all sorts of ideas until we ran across on Canner and Pintaluga on their site. Gyi, I'll Slack this to you, or I'll chat this to you so you can find it easily and share with our esteemed audience. They're under their law offices. Canner and Pintaluga has law offices in, 20 states, including Ohio partner firm, which is the Buckeye Law Group. And so the intake for the Buckeye Law Group is going to, the irony of this, we talk about intake all the time. The intake for the Buckeye Law Group is going to the intake for Canner and Pintaluga, and presumably, they're losing a portion of their audience who thinks they ended up at the wrong place. And that's problematic. And by the way, Buckeye Law Group, there's a bunch of attorneys here, Gyi. There's 18, 20 attorneys, right? All right, 12. That's enough to have your own intake staff, or at least have someone answer the phone, the Buckeye Law Group, right? The infrastructure to make that happen, not that hard.
Yeah, and again, we don't know all the behind the scenes of what's going on here. And in fact, we did some just looking, and some of the attorneys that are listed on the website don't appear to in the Ohio State lawyer registry for whatever reason.
In which
so again, we don't know.
Gets a law firm disbarred.
Well, we don't know. We don't know, but it's like a lot of stuff that doesn't add up. But for all intents and purposes, this is a real law firm. And they've some relationship with 411-PAIN. They're at least creating some confusion for people who come to their site. And again, as trying to at least say some positive things here. They, on social, they are doing things like, here it is, right? It's game day. Ohio State takes on the team from up north today. And the Buckeye Law Group, of course, is cheering loud for the Buckeyes. And you've got the Go Bucks visual imagery. So like this, like you're like, again, could we critique this? We could. But here, like if the website looked like this, I might be like, okay, that makes more sense.
But it doesn't. They're missing the boat. They're missing the boat. Do me one last favor, and then we're going to move on from our meanness. Can you go to on the Buckeye Law Group, under About?
Yep.
And can you roll to Meet the Firm, and then scroll down to the reviews? Keep going. There you go, right there. Now, for those of you watching, this is something to be aware of, and this is clearly not deliberate, but it is problematic, especially because it is the disclaimer. Can you highlight the text under those reviews so people can actually see it? And my point here for those of you listening, you can't even find, there you go. The point for those of you listening instead of watching, this is a dark gray text on a black background for the disclaimer of how they are selectively choosing reviews to display. There are all sorts of problems with this from an ADA perspective. And it's something that we see. Gyi, I suspect you see this more often than you would suspect.
Oh yeah,
made no
I mean
sense.
this is
Let me
just
ask this differently. Do you see this a lot, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is so the reason this is happening is because someone dropped this Yelp widget snippet thing in here and didn't do anything to actually adjust the, CSS so that it's actually, you can read it. It's like the default code or whatever. But yeah, this is a
but it's
issue.
also they're selecting they're being very selective about the reviews that they're showing, which is why you need the disclaimer. But if you're hiding the disclaimer either through incompetence or deliberately, that's doubly problematic.
Well, and I just noticed something else here that people that are watching on YouTube will realize. But like, if you're watching these reviews go by, so you got July 25th, July 25th, July 24th.
July 26th,
July 24th.
Yeah, look at this.
Let's see what else we get. July 24th again.
Yeah.
Big day on July 24th for the firm.
So all of these reviews are between July 24 and July 26, and I believe there's like 20 of them.
That was it was a great 3 days in reviews. Now again, we don't now. I didn't. Should we try to check this on what's going on GBP profiles here? Let's see here. What's going on? We also don't know what office those are from, so I would guess that they're probably from the Cleveland office. Oops. No, I don't want to write a review. I was just curious if it's like what's going on. So there's obviously more reviews on there. Any event.
Yeah.
That was a weird thing. And again, I want to call it a couple other things. You got the 4011 pain number on their Twitter profile. And again, just from this seems to me, don't know, but it seems to me like we feel like we need to be on Twitter, but we've never posted anything on Twitter. Really trying to be extra judicious of like, hey, we wanted to have like a presence there with a citation. You shouldn't be using 411 pain for that, even if you were going to do it.
It's just nice. I mean, here's in that picture there, you've got the Buckeye Law Group logo on the front of a 911 GT3 that looks like it has nothing to do with college football, right?
Well, I think maybe they sponsored this because it looks like the
that's
Buckeye
fine,
Law
which is
Group
great.
is
But
on
like
the hood.
again, it's on the hood,
Yeah.
so fine. Merry Christmas, but
hood.
like does not tie into your branding at all. It's completely discontinuous. That's not the right word.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
Something's up.
Besmirched Ohio enough for today. And when we come back, we're going to talk about our painful experience during the honeymoon period with a new service provider.
And we are back. And as you are listening to this and it is approaching the end of 2025, we wanted to reminisce on some of our top episodes from 2025. And so these are our top 5 episodes based on, Conrad, what are this based on?
It's actual
remember?
listens. Yeah.
This is listens.
Adam has a better word for that, but it is listens.
I like listens. That's what we go for here on Lunch Hour Legal Marketing is listens. And these are our top listened to maybe podcasts from 2025. Number one.
Before we get into this, I want to be like, here's an interesting thing. This is a piece of data that we have from a third party, right? And like all pieces of data with third party, you have to have a level of speculation, right? This is the best data that we have. Skepticism is the word I was looking for. This is the best data that we have, so we're going to use it. But like, there are lots of things, and maybe we should do an episode on this in our world that are based on really, really poor data. So just a little caveat on this.
And are these in any particular order? Are these?
I'm going to say they're in the 1 to 5. The best, starting with the best.
Okay, so let's just to keep the anticipation growing. Let's go from the bottom up.
Wow,
Number
like
5.
a true marketer. When we
Number
come back,
5.
we'll reveal number 1.
Number 5, most listens for Lunch Hour Legal Marketing in 2025. Subreddit LHLM, Reddit feeds the AI machine.
I mean, this is what a lot of people want to talk about. And Reddit was one of the early pushes, influences, oversized influences on AI. And I think right after this episode, or maybe during this episode, we saw a whole bunch of spam coming from marketing agencies spamming the crap out of Reddit on behalf of their law firms.
That's right. Number 4, always a fan favorite, Conrad's Crystal Ball 4, which we will be doing coming up about a month from now-ish, maybe not even a month, but early January, you can tune in for that one. Conrad, what is your Crystal Ball episode all about?
So we go back and look at our predictions from last year and grade ourselves about how wrong or right we were. There's a little bit of I told you so and gloating. I think that happened in the most recent Crystal Ball episode. And then what you've all been waiting for, Conrad and Gyi are going to guess the major changes to the industry in 2026. This is a must listen to episode.
Number 3.
I bet we're going to talk about AI a lot.
No way. Number 3, tasty tactical tidbits. Don't call it a rebrand.
So in this episode, and we just talked about branding and affinity, we talk about the importance, and we really push the importance of consistency and not constantly changing names. This actually came from a question from a listener, and we talk about the importance of consistency in logos, names, branding, and why you shouldn't go from Smith, Jones, and Murphy to Smith, Jones, Murphy, and Charles, because inevitably Smith and Jones are going to hate each other and part ways at some point in time, and it turns into a marketing disaster.
Number 2, not all leads are created equal. This is a more recent episode where we talk about bungling lead follow-up and neglecting to learn how AI might be able to assist you in qualifying leads.
Qualifying and prioritizing, right? That's the key of that. That's a really good episode. It's a really good way to grow your firm without spending more money on marketing.
And number 1, which I know is Conrad's favorite episode of the year, Cleo's all in with Scorpion. Who gets stung? What possibly could we have talked about in that one?
This was the episode where Cleo and Scorpion joined us, and we put some pretty hard questions to them. Their pillow talk, bromance, business romance. What is it? Bomance, a business. Anyway, we got deep into why Cleo, the open platform that we have loved, that has gone out of its way to work with everyone, now has what was described as, I believe, an exclusive or sole, I've definitely seen some of those words, marketing relationship with the closed system, no access, entirely trapped website platform called Scorpion. It seemed dissonant, and we had them answer some of our questions. And there's more coming from our conversations with Cleo about Scorpion.
Anyway, thank you to all of our listeners who listen to these episodes and other Lunch Hour Legal Marketing episodes. We are proud to report that our subscriber growth as of this recording, December 3rd, for the year is up 24%. So we've grown 24%. We try to be transparent about our metrics as part of the, for law firms that might be considering podcasting. We've both been very vocal about the value of podcasting for us. And so thank you so much to all of our listeners. I believe, I could have this wrong, but I believe our goal for the year was 25%. I think we said something like we're going to try to do 25% and 25%. So if you're listening to this on Christmas Eve, go tell your friends to subscribe.
Hold on. If you're listening to this on Christmas Eve, please press stop and go back to your family, unless creepy Uncle John is still on the eggnog.
So please do listen to one of these episodes after you've enjoyed your eggnog. Subscribe if you haven't. And as we always recommend, leave a review in Apple Podcasts to help us get to 100. Because while we have a lot of listeners, we have very few reviewers.
Gyi, right. Why do we have so few reviewers when so many other podcasts have thousands?
We did an episode on this.
Would you like to give the quick answer?
Yeah, it's because our listeners just are selfish and don't actually like to go leave us reviews. Just kidding. We know that there are lots of fake Apple reviews out there.
Okay. And
So
we
don't leave a
play that
fake
game.
review.
Don't
Don't leave a
us
fake review. Go leave a. Don't enjoy your holiday. All right. Now we're gonna change gears here for a second and talk about the Lunch Hour Legal Marketing Summit disaster. Conrad, why? We're not saying Lunch Hour Legal Marketing Summit was a disaster, right?
Yeah.
What are we?
Your
saying?
press training is really falling short there, Gyi.
Well, that's what it says. I'm reading what it says.
All right. So we had a great summit. We are very excited to do it again. We refuse to ever go back to Las Vegas to do it because the hotel, to quote someone from the top, treated us so badly. It was not a great experience from the business perspective at the Bellagio. And so we picked Nashville, and we decided that we did not want to be yet another one of 10,000 digital marketing conferences in the September, October timeframe. Gyi and I have spent basically our entire fall on planes, which has been miserable. And so we picked the middle of May 12 to 14. And we, in the spirit of going local, we hired a local event company, a local to Nashville event company who presumably has good contacts. This is what they do. They're specialists in this, to help us run the conference. Because frankly, my desire and Gyi's desire to actually run the conference is close to zero. I love being there. I love talking. I love meeting everyone. The administrivia behind it, no thank you. Gyi, what happened to us with our selecting the conference date and venue?
Short version is, over the course of about 4-ish weeks, we received what we believed was a pretty generic quote from a hotel without much of anything else.
From a single hotel.
From a single hotel.
Right?
And again, we were very much like, I felt like we were missing something, because I was like, this can't possibly be what the output is from this process. And look, I have experience, I've said before, I was the co-chair of the ABA's Tech Show. You and I have participated in a variety of different contexts, in a variety of shows. We both looked at this and were like, this can't be right. This can't be what
I went back to the email and looked for another document.
Yeah. Anyway, not a great experience. And so again, we don't want to just go through the point of this part of the episode is not to, focus on this, but it's a great story for lawyers, because lawyers are, this event planning is a professional service. Lawyers are professional service providers. And what it got us thinking about is how important this, we're calling the honeymoon period, in a professional service relationship, how critical it is. Because ultimately, when Conrad and I went back and forth on like, should we give this company another chance? Did we miss something?
Sorry, you went back and forth. Should we give this company another chance?
and ultimately, Conrad's biggest point is he's like, look, if this is the level of service we're getting now, imagine what's going to happen when we actually are relying on this company to run the show. And
or when something goes wrong, right?
Something goes wrong, and this is the first impression. It's not going to get any better, right? It's not going to get any better than this first impression.
And that may be the fallacy, right? And I think this is the point for law firms. When someone hires a law firm, you're really hiring on a leap of faith, right? And we go all out of our way to demonstrate trust and likability. We talk about all the reasons that people hire a law firm, which are super important. But that honeymoon period, the first couple engagements that you have, how you set things up, that's when you validate whether or not that trust that you put in that service provider is correct or not, or if you've made a horrible, horrible mistake. And it was really clear to me that we had made a horrible, horrible mistake because they didn't do anything. And
how about this? We don't know what they did, but our experience as
that's right.
Customer, client, was that it felt like they didn't do very much.
Yeah. And that's
so-
the big problem.
That's the big problem. And so, we've talked about client experience before and potential client experience and all this kind of stuff. So we want to just go through a couple things, sharing this story, and then what are some things that lawyers should be doing during this honeymoon period to prevent this kind of experience for their clients. So, Conrad, what's one thing you think about during this honeymoon period that you recommend lawyers do to prevent them from having their clients from having the experience that we had?
So the most common bar complaint, you start heading this off right off the bat. We are going to work on communication, over communicating. And even if that is what is, we call it at the agency, the no update. Hey, just letting you know, we're here. Nothing's changed right now. We're still waiting on blah, 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 whatever it might be. It doesn't matter. But even communicating that there's nothing to update, that's an update. And it is much better for the no update than for me to be sitting around as a client with a, how are things going? I don't know. I haven't heard from these guys. One of the ways that you can deliberately, systemically do that is to hold their hand. And both Case Status and Hona talk about their most successful clients actually calling up and walking through the process of getting registered for their notification system with Case Status or Hona. So I'm going to make sure that we have a systemic way of communicating with you, that it's automated, and that we're going to make sure that that part is really easy for you to do. You may not be great with iPhones and apps and signing up, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're just going to babysit you through that process. So I love that we are going to over communicate, and then we're going to babysit you and hold your hand in the process of over communicating.
It's a great one. And in the same lines of communication, over communication, set expectations. To me, that is the biggest issue, because I've been thinking about the experience that we just had. My expectations, rightly or wrongly, there's where what they were, was that at the end of this period of time, this company is going to come back to us and be like, hey, here's a bunch of options. Here's the budget. Here's what the game plan is going to look like, blah, blah. That was my expectation. Now, I would say that in reflection, that maybe it was kind of open-ended. Like maybe my expectation was not right, but guess what? Whose fault is that? It's not mine. The setting expectations. So if you've got clients that are coming in and you leave it open-ended, or you're silent about expectation setting, you're going to run into the same problem. And so being very clear about when people can expect certain things to happen in their relationship with you at the very beginning is so critical, and to deliver on those expectations, right? So you set an expectation of thing happens, because guess what? That's how you build trust. You said this thing was going to happen, and then it did. You said another thing was going to happen, and it did. And if something changes, because we understand it's a dynamic, chaotic environment, especially when you're at the beginning of trying to learn more information about a particular legal situation. If something changes from those expectations, you better have go back to Conrad's point about over communicating what the new expectation is, why the expectation changed, and what's going to happen next, so that you can start to deliver upon that. Because again, there's only three things you're doing in communication. You're either building more trust, your communication is trust neutral, or you're eroding trust. And so everything you do as part of your process, and you're in the communications you're making during this honeymoon phase, and really throughout the entire course of the service delivery, but it's so important. And we know this from our own experiences, our businesses, right? I mean, we have the same issues. Like, we have to set expectations with clients from the beginning. Like, in the first 30 days, you can expect this. And the more that you over communicate and the more that you deliver on those initial expectations, the more trust that you build up front, and the more latitude that you're going to get throughout the course of the relationship.
So I think a couple things. The setting expectations is important. Some firms have a approach of, this is a box that we're going to create that is going to protect us from not delivering a great experience. right? And so I think you need to set expectations.
What do you mean there, Conrad? What do you mean?
When you said setting expectations, part of me was like, I want to be exceeding expectations. That's the whole unreasonable hospitality perspective. And so I sometimes fear that, and this typically comes from an operations-centric firm, that we are going to set expectations so you can't complain when things aren't happening the way that you want them to, right? And so I think you need to be thinking about what are the things I can do to go above and beyond and not have. So let me put this differently. Your mindset around setting expectations needs to be around the delight of the customer as opposed to the protection of, hey, we told you it was going to take X number of days, right? And so it needs to be from a customer-centric delight mindset as opposed to a defensive, this is in my scope, this is in the box mindset. And I think that it's a mindset shift. And I'm painting operations people with a unfair brushstroke, but it happens a lot. We're like, hey, I don't know what they're mad about. We told them it was going to take 3 weeks to do this. Well, what can we do within those 3 weeks to make a delightful experience, even though the end result is still going to take that long? I think that's a mindset shift that you have to have. The other thing that we recognize, and especially with service businesses, when things don't work, you hit on this a little bit, Gyi, when things don't go really well, I think it's really important to proactively deliver bad news. Right? Sometimes things don't go well. We have it's one of our 10 commandments. I think it's number 7, but we have a proactively deliver bad news. You want the bad news to come from you instead of the client figuring it out, right? And that is a key differentiator. Hey, you know what? This didn't go the way I thought it would. This filing didn't happen. Whatever it might be, if you are on top of proactively delivering bad news, you're putting yourself on the same side of the desk as the client. And it goes back to over communication. No one likes delivering bad news, right? But if you can use that bad news to stay or even get on the same side of the desk as the client, you're winning, right? You're winning. That's the key.
Yeah. And I think, excuse me, a lot of this that we're talking about is even too late. When I think about this honeymoon period, and it goes back to this idea of first impressions, even though we talked about in the first segment, that honeymoon period, it begins with the first time that a potential client has an experience with your brand, period. And so, I think about, and we cover the industry research. We'll talk legal trends report here at some point, but like all of the research is showing that law firms are dropping the ball like really, really early in the process in terms of follow up and answering the phone and calling, whatever you want to call it, chase or whatever it is, email nurture campaigns, like this, all of the stuff that we're talking about. It really begins at that first impression stage, it's not just okay, you've decided this is a case that you want to take, and now we're going to kick in our client service delivery. It's all the stuff way before that.
Yeah. I have a couple other things and the way before that. I like setting the expectations of reviews early on. There's 2 things that come out of that. Number 1, you're setting for yourself the standard of delighting this customer. Right? By acknowledging between the 2 of you that you are trying to earn a positive review. And then on the second side, this is the easy part. You go back and hey, remember when we talked about when we start this engagement at some point in time when it's over, I'm going to ask you for a positive review. Was there anything, would you mind leaving that? And if you're really good, you have someone checking in along the way. You can do this with a HONA. We can do this with a Net Promoter Score. You can do this with a director of client happiness who calls in 30 days and 60 days and 90 days after you connect. I love that, setting that expectation for a review. The other thing that, this is a little more kitschy is not the right word, and I can't remember the name of the law firm that started this. It's not Mike Morris, but I believe it's someone in the Midwest. The "We've got you covered" blanket. So the the concept of this is like, hey, you just signed with our firm, and the first thing that's going to happen is our mailroom is going to send you a gift, a welcome gift, right? And we've messed with this with our agency a couple times, but it's a welcome gift. The famous one that I have seen lots of lawyers emulate, copy, steal from an idea is a blanket that's got the logo of the firm on it and a "We've got you covered" package, right? But there's lots of things that you can do, like, hey, because this goes into the unbelievable hospitality or unreasonable hospitality. Like, hey, I was not expecting, I'm exceeding the expectations. I wasn't expecting a thing from my law firm to walk me through whatever it might be that I'm going through. And so you're setting a level of customer service and care and expectation that is above and beyond what I think people expect. And I think that is key to all of this.
Yeah. The other thing for me is that, and this goes back to your point about operationalizing things, and I think that this is a part of that's. It's similar in that issue. It's some of its mindset, but it's switching from the like its process is great, but also part of your process should be collaborative. In that, are you even asking clients about what their preferences are for certain things? Like, hey, how do you prefer to communicate? Do you want us to send you an email every single day about what's going on? Because some people are going to be like, yeah, that actually, no, that doesn't work for me. Anyway, point being is that it should be some co-creation. Now, people are going to push back on that and be like, Gyi, you're crazy. If I can't build a firm around complete flexibility to try to appeal to all these people. And there is some nuance and art to this. Like, you definitely want to guide people down a path. But just the asking, like, what works best for you type of conversation. Here are some options. Here are the options. Here's typically like what we recommend. I think guiding that is good, but make it a collaborative experience during that honeymoon phase to actually get that. And what the real thing that you're trying to do here is you're trying to get that feedback loop going right from the start. Because again, you might turn into like the client's preference is something like, hey, we don't do it that way and here's why, and that's okay too. But the point is that there's a feedback loop going on where you're not just like, this is how we do it, take it or leave it. You're like, we want to meet you. We want to meet our clients where they are, and we want to have those conversations so that you're actually getting it. And then guess what else happens? A lot of times, a lot of this, negative sentiment, it's hidden because it's like a little annoying thing that the client never even says anything about it, but those things fester. And so by having these kind of conversations about like feedback loops and like how you can give the firm feedback and whether you're unhappy and whether it's net promoter score or whatever it is, get those feedback loops in place and make it very clear how the client can express their frustration, sentiment throughout that entire process. Because that's the only way that you're going to be able to identify that stuff and fix it before it turns into a negative review for, hey, this law firm never followed up with me or, didn't tell me what they were doing with my case, yada, yada, yada.
All right, to sum this up, I'm going to read. We title this episode, "If You Screw Up the Honeymoon, You're Headed for Divorce." I'm going to read one piece of the feedback that I sent to our event planner. The bigger issue is that we're taking this as an example of the level of effort you'd put into running the event itself, and it's demonstrably inadequate, right? And Gyi, we're at a point like we want to run this event in May. But we're back to the drawing board because we don't have confidence that who we have in place to run it is going to do a great job. And we're not going to do an average job for our event.
Well said. Sorry. Are we wrapping up? Wrap it up. And with that, Lunch Hour Legal Marketing listeners, thank you so much for a great 2025. We hope you're enjoying your holiday season. We look forward to bringing in the new year with you in a couple weeks. And until that time, please do subscribe, comment, leave a testimonial, review. Thank you. From Gyi and Conrad, Lunch Hour Legal Marketing, we are out of here.
Money makes a world go round. Yeah, money make a world go round. Yeah, money make a world go round.